Alright, now that I have it working as intended. What's that? That's you, Jang, and what is that? Like, where the...
Oh, just some technical difficulties
You
music.
gotta be careful with those. Remember, we do record these things. Don't want to be advertising to the world. I don't know. It's one of those, huh? Does anybody actually watch this? Some do,
But,
most don't.
but still, the system is
Ah, well. If they want to watch it, they can watch it. Just don't overly draw attention to it.
Okay, I'll be more chill on that. I'll be more chill.
Yeah, I don't even care, really. I don't know where half of it goes anyway. So long as this doesn't display some weird ass images every time we do something, I'm good. The only time I approve of that is when it's in a macro, which is alright, this macro does this thing, and here's the illustration of what it does. That's the only time I ever not get angry about that. Alright, so. Weird lab thing, rudimentary power. Not really much. This is more of a camping grounds than a laboratory.
Yes, and I plan to use this camping grounds to try and figure out a decent
They didn't even have a
stress.
distribution system for the toxin. They just kind of let it spread on its own. It doesn't look like they were working on a way to prevent it from spreading too far. So this is just an eco disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah, and that's why I need a dispersion system of my own.
How are you
Because I
gonna get
already
it?
know what cures it. Well, I'm kind of not a scientist, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, so that's a bit of a.
Like
Why are you
in
thinking
real life,
science
I'm not
questions
a
if you're not really a
scientist.
scientist?
without
Like no,
without
in
arguing
real
that.
life, I'm not a scientist, so I
Okay.
can't really answer that question. No one might be able to answer that question, but in real life, I have no idea.
I mean, in general, this is not an airborne toxin. So remember, it's like you have to infect an organism, and it's based on death club venom, which means it has to be injected into somebody's body.
Yeah, but it's somehow perforated into all the soil samples and stuff.
Maybe that was just leftover residue from it dripping on the canyon floor. You don't know. It's like again, you're not a geologist. You do have a geologist. Did you decide to hit him up and get his input on it, or did you just try and figure it out on your own?
Well, no, try to figure it out on his own, and then if he fails, go to the geologist.
Which would be a yeah, because you're not a geologist. You just get a supposition of what you think is happening. Of course, then there's the next part, which is that what you're going to go on? You're just going to go on what's in your head, not what other people will actually decipher.
Huh?
It's like, what type of character are you? Are you the one to seek out aid, or are you the one who's just going to try to figure it out? And you get an idea of what's happening, but yet it's not really that informed.
We'll presumably continue working on that idea until it's either proven or disproven. That's how science works.
How are you going to disprove it, though?
Um, well, the central sort of thing to writing a hypothesis is having a way to prove and or disprove it. So, I personally, as a human, am not sure, but no one might be able to think of something.
That does not help the cause. You created a science character and you don't really have a science mentality. I see a problem here.
I, I do have a science mentality, but it's physics, not
Well, there you
geology,
go. so,
biochemistry.
so you have a physics mind, you don't have a geology mind. So, I mean, you're trying to figure this out, which would probably take you a good sample amount of time. What's your method behind figuring that out? So it's like, all right, soil. How did you first learn of this anyway?
Uh, Issa said that there was that the toxin was in the rocks and stuff.
Oh, so the same maybe you should maybe you should do a follow-up.
You really want me to go to Issa, don't you?
I don't know. Just it's like so. I mean, you just think of it in terms of science. It's like, what is your plan? So you're just gonna go on his first opinion, the toxins in the rocks.
Yeah, so I test some rocks, like from various points in the cave network. See their relative toxicity levels.
With how are you gonna
Um,
test all
and
that?
then,
With what?
well, I've got a primitive lab, and they probably have at least some form of, something to test toxins.
They do not actually. Not in terms of rock samples,
Yeah,
because
well,
it's
you need
mainly
to,
biological samples that they test for, which is things like blood and
So what I would
fluids.
do is I would dissolve it into a solution, use the centrifuge to separate
Dissolve it with
the
what?
toxins from. Well, putting it into a solution usually means
Water.
mixing
Yeah,
it
but
into
what's the?
water.
You're just gonna
Or...
put it in water?
Yeah, you. That is how you put something into solution, unless it's
So solutions could be a lot of things. You know, specifics here, specifics.
insoluble.
So you're just gonna stick it in water and then just stick it in the centrifuge and then analyze it.
Yeah, crush it up first, of course. Like make it so it can dissolve.
So in general, it's like from the samples you're getting, there's not enough toxicity for this to be a problem. It's probably what Issa's picking up is just basic runoff. So I mean, in major part, most of it's probably because of the amount of Mirelurks you've killed. Their blood being infected with this and then seeping into the ground.
Oh, okay.
Seeing as there's no Mirelurks anymore, maybe that might not be a problem. But you won't know until later. Maybe come back a week or two after. And he's just relying on you to bring up samples, because he doesn't want to go down there. He doesn't know what else could be down there.
Lame.
He's not going to risk himself if he doesn't have to. Especially when he's got other people to do it for him. It's like, he's a scientist, he's not an adventurer.
Can't be both. Wimp.
Okay, so besides the soil sample thing, what else are you doing?
Well, that gets rid of my plans for next week. Okay, so if there isn't any real proper danger,
Oh, I mean, besides the Death Claw, that's still down there. That doesn't like you.
Yeah, but I'd need people with pointy things to get rid of that, and I don't have the time for them. Yeah, he'd just re-go through all the research, make sure he knows everything that they've done. After that, he would, I guess, work on maybe attempting to improve the lab slightly. Clean everything up properly, make it so it actually looks like a proper facility.
Make it look like a proper facility, even though right in the center of it is a Death Claw den.
Yeah.
Alright. So in terms of proper facility, I mean, the most you could have done is you got rid of the majority of the debris, you cleared out some of the waterways, you found some bodies, definitely some of the people who worked there. Many of which were just skeletons and clothing.
Fine.
Do you at least analyze the bodies to see how they died, or do you just ditch them somewhere?
I mean, I have a passing interest, but I'm pretty sure it was either a death claw or a disease.
So you'd probably assume it's something that's down there. Had eaten them or killed them.
Pretty much.
Hunter has not
Anything-
been, like, you've been doing this alone for, like, a good 2 days now. Like, Hunter's not been following you now, because she's been having something going on in her head. while you've been off doing all this?
Noah's too busy to notice.
Yep. Okay,
Why
so
didn't he
you
kill
cleaned up
himself
the
last
lab.
time?
It's day 2 now. You still have 2 more days to go.
Christ, he did all that in a day?
Well, he did. I mean, you cleaned a majority of the stuff in a day. I mean, you got nothing else. You literally have nothing else to do at this moment.
Yeah, then, yeah, once he's finished with that, I guess he'd go back up, see if anyone wants anything, built or helped with.
Well, I mean, you get the report that
Then,
we're gonna, like, you came back. We're being prepared. We're preparing for the assault on the Gunners' town of Quincy. And that what was that we're gonna have super mutant allies to help us out with that. I think that's what the plan was. I don't even know if we can count them as allies. I think they're just not.
Hired gunner.
Yeah, hired. They're not even hired. They're doing it for the
literally
loot, and that has nothing to do with us.
Are they allies?
Yeah,
Because where are they?
Yeah, very good point.
well, Noah's always up for sacking a town.
Yeah, Lynn, that's the new map we have. Well, I have to separate the. Let me separate the tabs so that you can't, because the recording picks up everything. If anything, you can see that I changed the map now. The map that's on that website is the exact same as the map that you see. Because I'm now using that map to create our battlegrounds. It makes it a little bit more realistic. So now you have more strategic things. For instance, the fact that there's a freeway now, which gives the enemy higher ground to fire upon you with. The wall, this area is surrounded by water. There are shattered houses all over the place for them to use as cover. You have to basically walk across an open roadway and open ground to get to the gunner camp. And then water, so if you take that way. So yeah, it made the battleground a lot more difficult, which I approve. Anyway, so back to Noah. Yeah, Noah, you're informed that in 2 days we're going to do a massive assault. So what compels you not to go? At
Probably
least not
sleeping that
initially.
day.
I mean, besides the whole lab project.
Yeah, Noah just probably sleeps in that day.
Okay, so sleeping for 2 days.
No, like he stays up all night
Okay, doing
something,
what?
probably like a very specific test and a very minute part of the genetic sample of the queen that has no real purpose, but he just wants to do it.
I mean, you don't really find
Um,
anything from that. You kind of already know a lot of what's going to be in it. It's like, alright, so nothing really different about this queen. It's a basic genetic template. The only thing different is the toxin, which you know is from the Death Claw by now. Nothing, there's like, it's really just nature being turned against nature here. There's no advanced genetic engineering, none of that. Just, and what happens when you inject this poison into this creature? That's as far as it got.
So we went to this thing, took some of its blood, and put it in this other thing. Let's see how that works.
More or less. That is exactly what they did.
You're not the best scientist.
I just wanted to see if the Deathclaw poison was powerful enough to kill a Mirelurk, and apparently it was somewhat effective. It just made him really sick and eventually die, but, the rate, it obviously was a failure. Didn't kill him fast enough, nor did it caused a lot of ecological damage, too.
Yeah, Noah's just mocking up their mess.
Oh, just cleaning up all the bodies and the blood and everything. So for another 2 days, you're just cleaning up the lab to look reasonable.
Yeah, pretty much.
The Deathclaw has tried to kill you during those times. It doesn't seem to like you at all, or anyone else.
Can I attempt to calm it down in some way?
Sure. So I mean, in terms of what you can do with that, the most you can do with that is prevent it from trying to kill you. you'll have like a grudging respect for each other, but beyond that, you still don't like each other. Well, it isn't like you.
I like assert my dominance over it with a wrestling match.
You have to do strength.
Can I do unarmed instead?
No,
Oh,
that'd be too easy.
sad face. Well, I would don my armor for this then.
So you'd basically try to. You do not outstrength it. It is a lot. Remember, it's designed to kill armored targets. It is that is what it's designed to do.
Do we at least seem equal to each other?
No, not at all. It is clearly stronger than you, and it can pick you up in your full suit of armor without any sort of effort.
Can I pick it up?
Do another strength. Can you pick it up? No. So, it's a lot heavier than you. Remember, this thing is like, it's twice as tall as you, it's a lot heavier than you, and it's stronger than you. Even in full set of armor. I mean, I wouldn't even imagine you were able to pull off any of that without the suit on. But with the suit on, you don't. It's like even with the suit on, you barely stand a chance.
Maybe the suit was a hindrance. Let's see what happens when I try.
Yeah, that would lower your strength. I doubt that. Huh. That's amusing. Well, I mean, with the suit, it doesn't consider you a threat. At that point, it's more amused that you're even trying to do anything.
Oh my god.
So at that point, it's more of a, like, it's a kind of a grudging, if you stay out of my way, I'll stay out of your way. So it's one of those, don't approach the nest, don't try and take samples from it, or any of the scientific things you try to do.
Oh.
Yeah, you're lucky melee attacks don't have that problem. Well, I mean, some melee weapons do. It's a power fist. So, you get the idea. Anyway. So, 2 days passes, you sleep in, the battle's already been underway. What now? I don't even remember how far we are in terms of distance.
It's not too bad.
I don't know, somebody...
I'm a pretty fast walker.
I don't know, roll a d6. Let's see what happens. Hey, you get there in like 10 minutes. But, you know, the assault's probably going to be underway before you even decide to show up. In terms of Hunter's probably not going to come with you. Again, you have done nothing to actually improve her mental state.
Well, these sorts of things generally need time.
Okay, so that's your assumption, is that this thing will take time, not effort. So you're just kind of leaving it sitting on the back burner, hoping it goes away.
Well, it'll take both, but it's only been like 3 days. So.
Well, it's 4 days, but yeah. How long are you expecting this to last? It's the 4th day and she still hasn't seemed to have improved.
I mean, it's mental conditions. Those can take years to get rid of.
Okay. Very true. Well, I mean, is it a mental condition or is it just coming to terms? That's and it's not like you have a psychiatrist on hand to tell you which is which. Like, one is a surgeon, the other one's a geologist. You do not have any sort of mental health doctors.
Damn, we need one of them head shrinkers.
Yeah, you need a shrink. Anyway. So that's you. Moving on to, I guess Stokes is first, because he's got the higher... you were the one driving, weren't you?
Yes, I was.
You crashed the tank. Other thing is, if you had aimed a little bit more to the left, you might have hit the reactor. And if you hit the reactor, let me just draw the box. So the reactor is in about this area. If you had gone a little bit more to the left, you would have hit it. if you hit it in just the right way, it explodes.
Oh. Well then. Simultaneously.
Well, it's a good thing the
loading
tank
two-
can't move now, but it's gonna take him like 6 hours to fix it.
It was 5 hours, but yeah.
5 hours, yeah. Still, it's kind of sucks. So what happens now? Do you guys move ahead on foot? Do you stay?
Were we
Okay,
waiting
move
for him
on.
to fix the tank?
It'll take like 6 hours to get the treads working. He's not even sure if that's gonna get the treads working.
One and get ahead and then like catch up when they do work.
Okay. I mean, what happens now? It's just so. Let's start with Stokes. Stokes, what do you think you should do? You don't have a well. You have a designated leader, but do you defer to said leader, or do you just decide on your own?
Well, hey, everything I've tried to do, it's been superseded. Kill a death claw. Try it again.
So you're tired of taking orders. Like I'm gonna decide what I want to do.
Yeah, I say we move out.
Okay, so that's Stokes' opinion. Lynn, do you follow suit, or do you just?
Well, first I pick up the combat shotgun.
Yeah. So pick up the shotgun, which you kind of left on the ground.
Yeah, then I'll just follow what everyone else is doing. What's the what kind of shotgun is
Like a lost dog, just follow whatever. Yeah, it's a shotgun.
It's like a bunch of different kinds of shotgun, though.
Well, it is a combat shotgun. I mean, it's not really many other things named that.
Ah, the Winchester. Okay.
It is literally called a combat shotgun.
Yeah, let's do that.
Unless there's another one with those specific words in it. Oh, it is literally called a combat shotgun. So. Okay, what about Harley? Harley, it seems like they're already deciding for you. They just said, keep moving.
I'm gonna try to figure out how to don the power armor I just picked up. So
You mean the one that's been compromised and totally messed up?
it's not that messed up actually.
One of them was hit with a tank shell. The other one was hit with 2 tank shells.
Yeah, but the other one was still mostly intact. So
I mean, besides the fact that it took some nasty tank shell. In terms of donning armor, that's considered a... Let's see. Well, first of all... Alright, so... The suit's fine, but the core's not intact. So, out of all the things that are armored, the core is not one of them. So, enough hits, and it caused the core to become... I would say highly dangerous, but that would be an understatement. So, I mean, you could use the damaged core, but there's a high chance it'll go nuclear.
no, preferably not.
I don't know, you'd have to roll science, because the other core is still intact, but the suit's all messed up. So you might slap one core into another thing and hope it works. So, nope, you have, you don't even think these things are compatible. It's like, let's not take the chance.
What are these? Double A's?
I'm still gonna I'm still gonna try to figure out how to get it to work without using the actual coordinates.
Well, how do you do that without... so, the suit doesn't even work without a power core. Like, it's really just a very heavy pieces of plating. You'd have to roll a strength challenge, and that would be a disadvantage, like, of 2. Because you'd have... Actually, no, more than that, because you have to minus out the strength of the armor.
Yeah, no.
So, it's like, these plates are meant to be powered. They're way too heavy to just wield.
Uh-huh.
Maybe the only thing I can think of is maybe a super mutant would use it as a makeshift armor, but still, even that is like pushing it. So you'd have to get that stuff properly repaired before you can field test it and field use it. Remember, you did just attack these things with tank.
Doesn't the generator have a power core as well, normally?
I mean, you could check and try.
I'm gonna check.
Okay, so you really want that armor to work.
Yeah.
So that would be, what, perception? Yeah, that would be perception. So you're thinking, let's go search the reactor. Maybe there's some power courses lying around. So in terms of cores, I mean, there's at least one in the generator. So do an intelligence before you actually decide to pull it out or not.
Yeah.
So power core's right there. You know that likely, if this is indeed a power station, if you pull that, it's going to shut down the power of the main base. That could be good and bad. It could be good because, I mean, if they're relying on outside power to power things like defenses, then that'll hemorrhage them. It could be bad because if they're relying on things like lights, and if they can tell the power's off, they'll know you're coming because the power just turned off. I mean, that's assuming they don't already know you're coming.
They would hear it over the.
Yeah, there were a few explosions and a lot of noise from this direction.
Yeah. So chances are they know we're coming. So might as well take our chance and just pull out.
They're just
power
gonna
core.
yank it.
Well, not yank it. Like take it out carefully.
Yeah, but still, as soon as you take it out, you see that the lights that were on in here, they all go dark, and you hear that everything will start to wind down around you. See, that doesn't help because you see that it is starting to approach dusk, and it'll soon be night, which means if they were using lights, they're also going to be you have to deal with darkness now. Did anybody bring any sort of flashlight or have any sort of night vision?
I have a flashlight.
Okay, so
Doesn't power armor usually come with flashlights?
yeah, it does, but first you have to see, does this fit into that? That is, what, science? It's like, science again. It's like, does this fit into that? You're not quite sure. Again, you're kind of unsure. You could still give it a shot, and you'd basically have to roll a d2 and see if it'll work, or see if it'll do something else. Yeah, you're new to this. You're new to armored suits. Like, you have
I'm
not
basically
seen many
trying
of
to
them.
stall. Trick. I'm basically trying to stall so Noah gets here, so he
Okay.
can help me with it.
Say what? Oh, you're trying
I
to
know
stall for,
Noah
so you're
has
just
power
trying
armor.
to stall for Noah? No, it's going to take a while for that to happen. Let's see, so... we'll go with it. Alright, so... Noah probably... This is basically Harley's stalled the whole... Okay, so first off, Stokes and Lynn, did you decide to go on without her? Like, Harley was going to stick around trying to get this armor suit to work.
Yeah, because 2 people with guns against an entire gun. Yeah, that's gonna end great. No.
Yeah, what about Kenny and them?
Kenny might be done, but it's not too title.
No, I mean, like, Kenny, would you go with them if they were going to take off?
But I'm not gonna go by myself.
Okay, so you're not going to go by yourself. So, I mean, but again, Harley's going to look around and try to get this armor to work. So it's like, do you stay with her or do you go with the other group?
Yeah, everyone else is saying.
Hmm?
Saying because everyone.
Okay, so you're staying. Alright, so yeah, since only 2 of you decided to start moving forward, you said, alright, well, I guess we get the chill here then, because the other 2 decide to hold us up and stick us here.
Yeah.
And
Well, we're waiting.
so, Noah, you probably just waltz through all the destruction. You know, the multiple craters, along with the huge hole in the wall caused by the tank, the dead bodies, and then you see the party in the tank right in front of you, which is not moving, obviously. Let's see, where's there he is. So, I take it you're armored. You're not.
Yeah, if I'm going into combat, I've got-
So, it's dark. Do you have your light on?
Yeah, I guess.
Lynn, Kenny, and Stokes, roll your perception. Can you tell it's him, or do you immediately think it's another hostile? Because he's in an armored suit, so it's like you could. Okay, so Stokes already knows that that is not a. It came from the direction of friendly, so likely it's a friendly. It's not an enemy.
Also, much more clunky.
Yeah. Plus, I don't know about the clunkiness. His suit's supposed to be more sophisticated, so it's not as clunky. It's still clunky though, but it's not as clunky. Now, what about you, Kenny? Can you tell it's not a hostile, or do you raise your gun against it? I don't know. I can't really fix that. Okay, so immediately you draw your gun
Oh god.
because you can't tell the difference. So Lynn, you're the closest. You have to try and convince him not to shoot.
Yeah, dummy. That's Noah.
That is a what? Speech? Yeah, that's a speech.
Oh,
Either
no.
a speech to talk to him or a strength to try and like lower his gun. You have to try and lower the gun of a super mutant who I think can outstrength you. Okay, so strength you fail. So I mean, you try to lower his gun, but he's clearly got it held up against this target.
Whatever. Good luck with that.
Okay, so so no, you have a gun drawn on you. What do you do in this situation?
Hello, Kenny.
Oh, wait a minute.
So familiarity, since he called out to you, and now you have your light on, so it's probably the only light in this warehouse now. Besides the one that Jeff has to try and work on the tracks. It's like
Oh, the weird man.
say what?
Oh, the weird man.
The weird man. Okay, no, it seems like you're safe. Now what? Do you get closer? Do you stay where you are?
Why is there a tank embedded in that wall?
And
That's false.
Jeff is immediate to respond like it crashed. Somebody drove it into the wall, and then he just stares eyeballs at Stokes.
Your idea was standing outside and shooting at him. It was barely working.
It's like at least it didn't get the tank stuck.
Yeah, but I killed the commander. Well, I didn't, but you know, indirectly.
And he kind of like he just kind of looks at you. It's like okay, I guess.
No, it just gives a blank look to stuff. Which is covered by a power helmet, so nobody notices.
Okay, so Harley comes. This is the point where Harley comes back with the new power core, and she looks at this thing, and she doesn't really know how it. Like she's new to power armor. She doesn't really understand how it works. So Noah, this is like, do you help her with that? It looks like she has a somewhat functional suit of armor. All she needs to do is put a core into it, and she doesn't quite understand how to do that.